All right, all right, all right. Welcome, 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 everybody, to the Greenway Court Theater. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mohammed Ojarigi. I am the producing director here at the Greenway Court Theater. And once again, it is a pleasure to see some of your faces out there, the ones that I can make out. It's dark, but thank you guys for joining us. I want to give a special thanks to Whitney and Pearson, the co-founders of the Greenway Court Theater, for providing this space. They also welcome you to the Greenway Court Theater, Greenway Arts Alliance. On behalf of the Greenway Court Theater staff, thank you all for your help. I really appreciate you all. Renee, thank you. Aaron, Jasmine, Idan, Riley, Juan, everybody. So thank you so much. And a big special thanks to my family who's in attendance, my mother, Diane, my father, Ali, my sister, Asamal, my other sister, April, the kids, my young kids are here. Mohammed, Mosa, Messiah, Mecca is at home watching with my wife, Imani. Hello, hello, hello. And I would like to jump in with a little house rules. So directly after this discussion, the parking lot will close 30 minutes prior. Please silence all phones, no flash photography. We're gonna have a good time. There'll be time for after each topic. We'll make room for you guys to have any questions for any of the topics that you wanna kind of dive a little deeper into. But right now, I would love for us to go into introductions. So we'll start with D.
Let's get it. Thank you, Mo. Let's give it up for Mo, please. Because Mo's making moves. Mo is making moves. We'll get to the moves that Mo's making. But real quick, I'm Dionté. Super excited to be here. I reside in sunny Los Angeles. Got a lot of places that I've once called home. Charlotte, Johnson City, Detroit, 313. But now here we are. My wife and I have been living in Los Angeles since 2019. Occupationally speaking, I'm engaged in community development, youth development work, and just being an advocate and trying to combat systems of oppression and injustice. And we try to do that through our nonprofit, which is Urban Promise Los Angeles. And our whole mission is to equip the children and youth of Los Angeles with the academic, the social and emotional, and the spiritual development they need to be Christian leaders who can really change the city for the better. My late grandmother instilled a couple of things in me when I was a kid, and those two things were education and faith in God. And now I've been able to kind of, continue to grow those things and bring them into adulthood. So really passionate about those things, and tonight I'll be talking amongst a bunch of other things, but my topic is education, so happy to be here tonight. Yes. Thank you. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Yeah, next up we have Horace.
Hey.
Horace.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Horace Dodd. I am an actor, entertainer, entrepreneur. Been living here in LA almost 10 years now. I'm an East Coaster. Never thought I would actually live in LA when I was younger and growing up. I just always thought I would live on the East Coast, stay on the East Coast, New York City. And but I'm here. I met my beautiful wife. We have 2 kids, newborn actually, who's 6 weeks old yesterday. And it really does feel like home now that I have these gentlemen next to me. These are they've really become a family of mine here. They're my brothers. And that's just kind of how this idea actually spawned, just off of our brotherhood and our friendship, our kingship. And we'll get into that a little further. But, yeah, that's who I am. Thank you guys for coming and joining us. And, yeah, it's going to be a great night. Let's do it.
My name is Thomas Ramseur King. Also really glad to be here. Very excited to be among my brothers tonight. Glad you all could make it. I've been in LA it'll be 10 years in September this year. It's been quite a journey coming out as an actor and discovering myself as a writer here, a filmmaker, a producer here. Recently discovering myself as a comic here, like really trying to just figure out who I am and what I'm capable of every day, every week, every month, every year. I find something new. And so part of being here tonight is also a discovery of sorts, because we had talked about this lightly a couple of months ago as a group of friends, and something we'd like to do, and then we're able to kind of chop at some wood and really carry water in terms of executing this thing, and now we're here. So this is another reminder for me personally that when you put your mind to something, you put intention behind an action, you really can manifest amazing things. So I'm glad to be here amongst my brothers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And once again, I am the producing director of the Greenway Court Theater, and I am proud that you guys are all here. I also ran my own theater not far from here, down the street, Melrose, off of Heliotrope. It was called Moments Playhouse. I ran that for several years. Had some great productions that came out of there, some great things. I'm also a coach. I have a business called Biz Before Show, where basically my expertise is really putting the business before any sort of craft. And because I just think it's important for artists to know what they're getting into before they just know like a skill set on how to do something, because it's a business first. And then I also have another business called Pages and Players, and it's basically it's an honor to work with writers and basically develop work and then pair that work with outstanding actors here in Los Angeles so they can see that work actualize and grow it, because writers are just really, really important, very important to push narrative. I'm a playwright, actor, and overall I would consider myself just a great listener, because I take in everything that I can to just try to better myself and grow. My topic is family, kingship.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Told y'all.
All right, so we'll jump into you, T. We'll jump into your wellness. We'll jump into wellness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tonight, in terms of wellness, I really wanted to get to what works best for me. Everyone's approach to what they deem as wellness is going to be different. I think it's supposed to be that way. Like I said earlier, I found what I now define as wellness through tons of hardship. Honestly, mostly self-inflicted hardship. So by taking stock of a lot of the decisions I've made over time, and specifically these 10 years I've been in LA, once I sit back and give myself an opportunity to reflect, which is part of my wellness, that's when I kind of get the clarity I'm looking for. And so for me, wellness is, I would define it as the constant practice of restoration.
I like that.
Right? Because whether it's your job or your occupation or not, I feel like energy gets taken from us on a daily basis. Some people do it because what you do for a living is service. It might be, that you could be working at a grocery store. You might be a waiter. You could be working farmland, whatever it is. You might work with kids. But for others, that may not be your intention every day, but you still are being pulled in different directions by people, whether it be your wife, your children, your close friends, whatever it is. So for me, we all need to be restored. And if you kind of take the analogy of an empty glass, right? There is such thing as a full glass and an empty glass and everything in between. And so it's the constant practice of pouring something back in that glass and not allowing yourself to get to empty, right? And so things that work for me, a big thing for me I discovered in the last couple of years is routine. Got to have a routine. Doesn't have to be the same as mine, but I think having some sort of daily routine has really opened up my mind and given me the harmony, the like internal harmony to be able to like execute things I need to execute. And I noticed the difference that when I stick to my routine, how much I'm able to get done and how good I feel versus those bouts we have where like you really struggle to get anything done. And what my days feel like, and then it affects my mood and my mentality and all that. So I think a routine is important. That's a major, major thing for me. I get up in the morning, I meditate right away, 15 minutes, get some cold water on me. At times I'll plunge. Right now I'm at like once a week I'll get up and like actually take a cold shower. But usually it's like quick splash on the face type of thing.
Wim Hof.
Wim
Hof?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then I get some sunlight in my eyes, go outside the patio, get some sunlight in my eyes, talk to myself a little bit, and then I'll journal for about 30 minutes or so. Sometimes I get inspired and I'm sitting there for hours, but those little things, I think, getting my day started that way, hit the gym, like those things put me in a certain space I need to be in to be able to execute the things I want to execute. And so I find that routine's important. Like I said, everyone's is going to be different, but I think finding something that you can rely on is important. And even like we have a lot of children here tonight, I would really, there are things I do now that I wish I was told to do or showed how to do when I was 7, 10, 12 years old, right? So I think you guys being here, first of all, is just an amazing accomplishment that you came and wanted to be a part of this conversation. So I'm really happy to see children here, but I would encourage you to find a routine now while you're really, really young, and outside of going to school and listening to your mom and dad and the things you should do. I do think finding your own personal routine you like to do is important, and it's going to help you develop character and develop your own vision for who you are and who you want to be and what you want to put into the world right now too. So by the time you get to our age, you'll be 50 times better than we are now at doing any of the things we're trying to do. So I think routine is a big key for me. And actually, speaking on that, I wanted to ask some questions about that. So I wanted to
hold up, because I got some questions for you.
Oh, go ahead.
I got some questions for you, my guy. The cold shower, first of all.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Well, it's Wim Hof.
Hof.
The Wim Hof method.
Jot that down,
it's not
Mo.
the cold shower
I'm
thing.
jotting
This
that
guy
down.
Actually, he goes out into the wilderness.
Okay.
He finds the coldest climates
Right.
on the globe, and he'll get into the water like with no clothes on. He has a certain breathing method that I don't know. He's a freak of nature. He's like supernatural in a way. So,
Yeah.
but he's been able to turn that into a method that a lot of people have adopted, and they utilize it, and it's supposed to be restoring, revitalizing for the body. It does work. So
sort of like an ice bath.
yeah.
And then, T, what are some things some routines or some rhythms you wish you would have been able to implement when you were younger, like you mentioned?
Honestly, the journaling is a big thing, right? So there's a lot of discourse in this country and probably globally about it gets pressed under this umbrella of like toxic masculinity, meaning men, right, grow up to be really sad little boys on the inside, or little boys end up growing to be really sad men, right? And we get this narrative pushed back towards us often that we shouldn't feel things. There's a time and place to feel this, or don't show it. If you do feel it, don't show it. Don't speak too much on it. Don't cry, right? Ignore the pain. Suck it up. We get this, right? And I know, like, our father's generations and beyond, that's all they knew. It's all they know.
Yeah.
Right? And so we were able to kind of, and we are actively still kind of reversing some of that, what I would call generational trauma, because that's what it is. And you don't know that as a kid. You don't really interpret it that way. That's all you know. But then you grow up and you see that there are healthier ways that you could exist. And I feel like journaling for me has really allowed me to clear it. Sometimes you can write stuff that you're unable to say. I can't really put it in words, but I'll know it when I see it on the page. And so I feel like journaling is really important for me to see myself completely. And then being a screenwriter, I'm able to, I have a skill set that allows me to show you now what's inside my head and maybe help you see a reflection of yourself through those thoughts. But the journaling is important. I wish that I had been encouraged. Not that I was discouraged, it just wasn't exposed to me that way. I wish I had been encouraged when I was their age to write my feelings down And then along the way, be given the tools to be able to speak those feelings to an adult when I had something bothering me or I was unsure about something or I felt stuck or whatever it was. And I think sometimes we get to this point too late. It's not really ever too late, but too late in terms of like we've already done a lot of damage to ourselves and other people because we weren't able to express in a healthy way when I was 12, right? And so I would say journaling is the big thing I really wish I had picked up maybe earlier in life. But, you know, it happened when it was supposed to happen, and I'm grateful for it now. Yeah. So I wanted to throw something at Horace, who I know is, as we all are, right? Like, and that's part of my attraction to the three of you is that, and my questions tonight to you guys come from a place of real curiosity because in a lot of ways, I look up to you three as my big brothers, right? I'm the youngest in the group. I'm the one who doesn't have any babies yet, right? You guys have a lot of things I aspire.
Not yet.
Well,
you're up next.
Thank you. I hope so. But you guys have a lot of things that I not covet, right, but admire and desire for myself, right? And so Horace is somebody I've known for, I want to say I've known you now for, how long has it been? Over a year?
Yeah,
a little over a year
and a half, so.
Yeah. So, but I feel like I've known you for 10 years. And the conversations that we've had about discipline, about your personal regimen, the way you work out, why you work out the way you do, your football history, those conversations that we've had, like I really want to know, what is your routine? What gets you in the zone? You know, when do you feel like you're your sharpest? And how did you come across your development in terms of like what your day is like and why you structure it the way you do? Where does that come from?
That's a good question. I'm going to try to condense it and keep it on point as much as I can. So I think just growing up, especially once I hit like 15 years old, I really started working out, lifting weights, and getting into my physical fitness. I was doing that for aesthetics, but also to be a better athlete, better football player, right? Because I was into football when I was a kid. So that just kind of followed me into adulthood. And it became less of a routine and more of a, how do I say this? I felt like I became addicted to it. I used it as like, and we've had this discussion, I used it kind of as, it's like my armor, you know, just being like more muscular and more built when I stepped out into the world to kind of deflect some of the other things that were happening to me psychologically and emotionally. And I used that as like my armor. So now that I think back, I feel like I was abusive to it when it came to fitness and working out. Like I overdid it, kind of. You know what I mean? Like how many abs can you really have? I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that, right? Like sometimes you just don't gotta do abs every single day. Right. You know what I mean? So, and now that I'm older and more mature, I flipped it because the first thing I would do when I woke up in the morning was go and work out. And sometimes I would work out 2 times a day, but I would start my day off with a couple hours of working out. And I flipped that now. I journal as well, but it's more of I start off with writing down my prayers in the morning. I feel like when I write it down, it actually sinks in. You know, sometimes when you wake up and you're not so lucid in the morning and still tired, it's not connecting. You're not really connecting. And I felt like when I started to write my prayers down, I would write it and then I would actually say it back, and I felt more connected that way. And I've been doing that since just a little bit before COVID happened, actually, like fall of 2019. And it has exponentially progressed my life forward doing that. And just kind of working out, the physical fitness thing has actually become secondary, maybe 3rd or 4th down the line. It's not such an important thing. It is, but it's just not important for me to do that to start my morning off. You know, I do want to get it in. You do need to stay in shape, stay healthy, but it's not the main thing in life, right? So, yeah, to answer your question, that's how I start my morning off now. I like to pray for not just myself, but pray for my friends, pray for my family, and just give thanks, just show gratitude, less so of asking for things and just giving gratitude for what I actually have. I think that's something that we all need to do more consistently, just give more gratitude. So that's how I start my day off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I want to ask Mo something now too. I'm gonna come back to that. In my discovery, my self-discovery of wellness, and it's taken, like I said, I've had a lot of hardship that gave me the reason to go look for it. I've been here 10 years. I've been unwell for most of the time I've been in LA, right? And I had to take a hard look at myself in the mirror probably mid last year and like really make real decisions about not only who I want to be or how I want to be perceived, but how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel every day, right? And that became, in the last, I'd say, 8 months or so, more important to me than like what I want to gain or achieve. Because if you truly actually feel good and you feel clean, you feel light, you feel clear, you're gonna achieve stuff. Good things are gonna happen to you. You're gonna manifest and attract those things, right? And so there are 8 dimensions in my findings of wellness, right? You got financial, occupational, social, physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and environmental, right? And so when I say I've been unwell most of the time I've been in LA, that just means out of those 8 things, I've had too many inconsistencies in all of them to feel good, whole, healthy, holistic, right? And so I am vegan. I've been vegan now for 11 years. And I still don't always, like, that's not a cure of anything, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to ask Mo, you got 4 kids, a wife, a career, you basically living here. Every time I call you, like, I'm still at the theater, man. I'm still here at the theater. I'm like,
You emphasize
1:45 a.m.
You got 4 kids.
Why are you still at the theater?
It's emphasis.
But I want to know, like, with all that you have in your world and what you've got going on, out of those 8 that I mentioned, and I can name them again. What do you feel you have the toughest time balancing as a father of 4, a husband, you know, a boss? Like, what do you struggle with the most as a young but busy black man? What do you struggle with the most?
Can you list them again?
Yeah.
Long list.
Might be a long list.
I will never be well with that list.
Exactly.
So you got financial, right? You feel secure with your money.
Yeah.
Occupational, social, physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and environmental.
Off top, I would say the one would probably be financial, because my spirit has never been guided in making decisions based on, and that's one of the things as an actor coming out here. A lot of people would look at that as like, man, what are you doing? Because I passed up projects where I could have been in something that had distribution, and I turned roles down because it was like, and this is early on.
Yeah.
Like, that I just knew my ambition isn't money. You know, my ambition is truly serving and trying to better myself and learn more and discovery. And I know my worth. You know, it's something I had to learn. Obviously, you learn it as you go. But financial would be that element that I feel like I'm at the stage now where I'm learning a little bit more on how to balance things and make things work especially in a family dynamic, because there's no playbook to this whole thing. You know, my father, who is here tonight, really set the bar extremely high. And you know, I seen him work his butt off and take care of a family and take care of his grandchildren and everything else. He just retired, by the way, so let's give some love to my dad, who just retired. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, he really put it down for his family, and
How many of y'all was it?
So I have an older sister, an older brother, and a younger sister.
Okay, so 4?
4, yeah. So, but the lessons I learned from my mother and father was really, I had battles with them earlier on. You know, this is something I could go on and on and on about, but you know, about even the career. Like, you're like, you came out here to be an actor. How are you passing up on films that are offered to you or different things that are offered to you? And it's like, because my soul wasn't filled. I knew like I would be jeopardizing something in everything. So I would say financial would be the struggle, but it's a place now that I'm learning more of, welcoming, because there was also a point where it was like, I don't want to be too rich, because I got around. I mean, earlier on, I was around. I had the afforded the opportunity to be around a lot of wealthy people. Growing up, that took me under their wings, and I kind of see some of the things that pushed me into certain areas. But I'll get into that a little later.
You're better than me.
I
never said that before. Never said I don't want to be too rich.
I'll put it like this. So, for instance, me and my dad, we talk a lot.
Truth.
So, Will Smith is somebody I looked at, but then my favorite actor is Jeffrey Wright. The difference is, to me, they're both great artists, but Jeffrey Wright, he's one of those guys that he could walk in here right now, sit down, nobody would trip.
Right.
And that's the element that I wanted. I didn't want the Will Smith cachet where I couldn't live and have personal connections with people. And my dad instilled in me, like, you can be Will Smith but still be like Jeffrey Wright, So.
And that's interesting. I'll kind of bring it back to the theme of Black Future Month, and as we look at some of these topics with a futuristic perspective, because I think some things that we're often confronted with is, do I take the check, or do I kind of stay in my lane and follow my calling, or stay true to me? So just to jump in on that point, like, I would hope that we can continue to work towards creating a future where you can get paid and you can do the thing that you love and are gifted at, and you can also be true to yourself, and I think that's kind of how we have to progress and kind of as leaders, like, and as people, as individuals, those are the things that we should be pushing for, is how do we shake those things up, and how do we redefine what wealth looks like when it's acquired? Because Horace said, I want the bag. And my hope is that Horace will get the bag, but he won't start acting like people who has had it, but instead have a progressive, like, mindset to say, yes, like, I'm booking roles, I'm doing my thing, but I'm also true to myself, I'm true to my community, and I'm true to the art, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's where I would want to see things shift.
I just want to say one thing to that. Because I am the producing director of this theater, it's something that I carry, and it's something that I've always carried, with even my name. My name carries a question. It's like, is he Muslim? Is he this? Is he that? And I was named by my parents, and I had, going through childhood, I had to define who I am through just my name of who I am. And I remember coming to Hollywood and shortening my name to Mo, and even Ojarigi. Like, I didn't even say my name correctly because I wasn't fully, like, secure in it, where I had to really embrace that. So now that I'm the producing director here, it's Muhammad Ali Ojarigi. My hair's hanging out. I got braids. I want you to see who I am completely. And this is who I am, and that's important because I don't want people to think success looks a certain way. Yeah, we're dressed up today, guys, but this is not how I dress every day. I wear T-shirts. Sometimes I got holes in my jeans. Sweats, whatever. I come to work how I want to come to work, but I really come to work the way I want to, because I want you to see a true representation of who I am.
Can I ask a cool question?
Yeah.
Back to Thomas's point, how did you feel? Because you said wellness, you kind of start with that question of, how do I want to feel?
Right.
How did you feel when you felt like, or when you were shortening your name versus how you feel now?
Well, as an artist, you're taught to sort of have a separate tape of yourself. You're taught to say, separate yourself from your art. That's what I was taught. And I always struggle with that with my teachers. They would be like, you're not this character, but I am. It's all that's inside of me. Whatever I play is coming from me. It's inside of me. And it's a representation also of people. So people take these images and they actually they take it for what it's worth there. So we're constantly look at our top shows on TV, and tell me that that's a representation of black life completely. Look at it. This is what I'm saying about imagery. Like, you got to understand your worth, and you got to move in a certain way. I mean, this goes. You could check my history. This goes through college. You know, I went through college, and I turned down roles that were just like, no, these are servitorial roles. We're bigger than this. You know, we have to up the ante and stand on it and understand that, our presence, we're here to do dynamic things. We're not just here to fall in line and just go with the current. Sometimes you got to go against that thing, man, to get to where you need to go and push things forward.
And I think that's yeah. I think that's an excellent point that you made. And I wanted to like circle back to something on top of what Horace said earlier before I get to my question I have for D. But like that awareness that you have, Mo, if the house of wellness stands on 2 or 3 pillars, like that house's ability to actually stand, awareness would be one of those pillars, right? Like, you can't be well if you don't know you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, so many people, again, to the kids that are here, so many people grow up, get depression and sad because there's a disconnect between how they actually would like to feel and their perception of how they want people to think of them. And so you start making decisions that you actually don't feel good about.
Right.
And then you gain this identity based on those other eyes on you. And so that self-awareness that you have, to me, is a major pillar of wellness.
He ain't ready.
That sounds like Mecca.
Mecca
That
ready.
sounds like Mecca.
Mecca ready.
I know my son. That
Mecca
gotta be
tryna-
Mecca.
He's
Mecca.
trying to come on
I
stage.
froze up.
You got some time.
Yeah, I
dog.
froze up. I did.
You did. He
I ain't
threw
got
you
that
off.
daddy reflex yet. I ain't snap into that.
Man was
So
like a
should we
child.
take some
I was
questions?
like,
Questions from the
Not a
audience.
child?
What do I do?
Yeah. I mean, if
Should-
anybody has anything now, you
Any
wanna
questions
jump in
any questions for Thomas at all?
with- I froze up. No questions.
Any
for me.
questions at all? At all? You could just yell it out.
Are you single?
Ooh.
This what they thinking. This what the people thinking on the live stream. You single?
I don't think anyone's thinking that.
Oh,
Answer this question.
She got a hand.
Go ahead, little
Messiah,
queen, go
my
ahead.
darling.
Let's let her speak.
Question.
That's a
Great
great
question. Thank you so much for asking. So
That's a good question.
I want you to try this though. If I answer, you gotta promise to try it. Promise?
So you gotta say the question because they can't hear it on the live stream.
Okay.
So you
So
gotta-
for the live stream, the question was, why do I take cold showers? I take cold showers because when you wake up in the morning, right, your cells are, a lot of your cells in your body, in your blood cells, they're brand new.
It's got deep.
And when you wake up in the morning, your cells being brand new means they need to be woken up. Cold water will wake you up really, really fast. And it has the same effect on your brain that some caffeine would have on you. Actually, in some ways, it's even better. It hits you a lot faster, and it's actually healthier for you. So I take cold showers because it wakes up my blood cells immediately, and it gives me this shot of dopamine that you need to kind of have energy for the day, right? So in a way, my body knows it's time to wake up. I got cold water all over me. I'm up. So I want you to try it at some point this week before you go to school. Cold shower first thing in the morning.
Hey.
See how fast you'll be ready for school.
All right, Messiah, you up
There
for the
you go.
challenge? Yeah.
She said, "No, sir.
She was ready.
You can keep that."
Any other questions at all before we move on to the next topic? Any other questions about wellness at all? This can go.
What does wellness feel like?
Again, wellness is a living thing. So the whole point of wellness is, ironically, is to never achieve it, right? Like, and what I mean is that things are going to happen to you or around you or for you, and you're going to have to interpret that somehow, and it's not always going to be pleasant. So that's why, I shouldn't have an attachment to my wellness equaling good feelings or happiness, because these things are fleeting. They come, they go. You have good days, you have bad days. You have fun times, you have sad days. So for me, wellness is like the active awareness that I was talking about. As long as I know I'm aware of what I'm feeling and I'm able to express it, so I have the ability or the access to go write it in a script that day. I might just journal it. I may just call one of these dudes up and say, yo, I need to holler at somebody for a minute. Whatever it is, my ability to recognize that I'm not okay, I'm not in harmony with myself 100% right now. I think identifying that is the wellness, getting to that point. And I think the more you practice that out loud sort of reflection or that that intention of like wanting to get to better, that's the wellness, right? You never really achieve it, really. There's no, like, we all want peace, but even that sometimes is fleeting because something was going to disrupt that at some point, and you have to regather it again, right? So to me, it feels like the constant state of finding the harmony in myself. And when I don't, identifying that I don't. And that's the wellness. Because ignoring it is what most people do. They ignore it, they don't feel okay, they keep it to themselves, and then you watch these people explode or completely shy away from real connection or people in general. And so I feel like me being aware of it and building up my vulnerability every day to be able to discuss it, share it, create it in some sort of art form, whatever it is, that's my wellness. That's what it feels like for me. I want to know what it feels like for D.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Wellness for me, if I had to boil it down quickly, I would probably say peace. And you mentioned that, but yeah, just that feeling of I'm content, and it just feels good, kind of it is well with my soul type of mentality. And then also active/alert. I feel like those would be kind of simultaneous, but active and alert. Alert enough to be, self-aware, to know how I'm feeling, because feelings can change, and that's one thing, but to be able to identify what those feelings are, to me, is a sign of wellness. And then the last thing I would say, so that's my double A's, and then I would say double C's would be courage and compassion. So if I can step into the ring with courageousness, then that's a sign of wellness for me. And then if I can also balance that out with a high level of compassion for others, then that's when I know that I'm centered. So peace, active and alert, courageous and compassionate.
So before I ask you a question and we move on to the next thing, I want to speak on something real quick. I want the children in the audience to really hear me here, right? Because I know the adults know where I'm going to go with this. Seek therapy as soon in life as you can. Seek therapy as soon as you can in life, because, and it doesn't have to be, by the way, it doesn't have to be a clinical therapist. I don't mean that you have to go into an office or be on a Zoom with a professional, some third party, and talk to. It doesn't have to be that, although I encourage it. But when I say therapy, I just mean find what does specifically make you feel like you've emptied your cup and you're ready to refill it, right? So if it's writing something down, if it's taking pictures of things, if it's riding your bike by yourself, if it's listening to music that you like, whatever it is, find ways to get therapy for you. If you don't feel okay, tell someone you trust that you don't feel okay, right? I want the little black boys and black girls who are listening and watching to really hear me on that. That's so important for us. And this being Black Future Month, I'm looking at the black future right now. I'm looking at it, right? And I want you guys to be healthier, smarter, stronger, more equipped than the four men sitting up here, three of them being mostly your fathers. But and it's funny, but it's also like you're a part of these incredible men, right? But and they want you to be better than they are, right? And so I'm just the one saying it right now, but I really want you guys to find ways to feel healthy as often as you can. Yeah. As often as you can. I can't stress that enough. That's something else I wish I had done earlier in life, is seek therapy, either a third party, some other person who doesn't know me, or finding ways that make me feel like I'm in therapy. But that's so important. And as a performer, as an actor and a poet and a comic and a writer, like that's as close to therapy as I get.
I mean, that's a
really
whole
at home
nother
in here.
topic, really, that we could expound upon that for hours.
Don't talk
because
wellness without talking therapy.
Listen, in the black community, we all know this. Everybody up here in the audience, you know, that's really not something that we promote. It wasn't promoted to me, at least. My white friends knew about it, but like me, I don't. Unless my parents were hiding it from me, I don't think they ever saw a therapist, and they needed to. At times, they did, and I needed a therapist growing up too. You know, I come from a divorced family of divorce, right? My parents, so it's probably something I should have done, and that my siblings should have done as well. Sure. And I don't blame my parents for it. It's just it's a cultural thing, you know. So it is something that we need to discuss more. It needs to be discussed more in our culture, in our community.
Absolutely.
It needs to be more prevalent in our culture, in our community.
Absolutely.
You know, it should be normalized. It shouldn't be a thing when you hear, "Whoa, Thomas, he's got a therapist," and we look at it because I'm like, that's cool.
If you got a therapist, put me on. You feel me?
Well, I actually have a therapist in the building. My sister is a doctor. She's in the building. Dr. Asmao Denise Ojarigi.
Wow.
So
who would have known you would have got a client from this?
So we are very grateful to have a doctor in the family. We don't get therapy from her, but
that would be awkward.
But yeah, if you need one, reach out. She's amazing.
I'm gonna say this. When I got to the point where my trauma was heightened so much that I ran out of healthy coping mechanisms and I didn't know how to cope, that's when I knew that I needed to go to therapy, and I did. So, you know, not to hide it, I did go to therapy, and I had a counselor, and the counselor helped me facilitate it and navigate my emotions, my experiences, and help me to develop new coping skills. Yeah. And I think that, you know, when people talk about therapy, people don't really understand. It's like, why would I sit on the couch and talk to this person about whatever? But it's an art to it. And what I took from that was a whole new set of coping skills. So yeah, I'm an advocate, but let's slide. We got so much.
I got one question for D, and then I want to move to the next.
I'm gonna answer it quick.
Move to the next joint. So D, you have 2 daughters.
Facts.
2 young, beautiful girls. You work with adolescents, many of them being, probably the majority of being girls, I imagine, right? Yeah. I want to know, it's a 2-part question. As a black man of two girls, what advice would you give to young black men on what they need most to be able to be of best service to black women? What should black men have or do that's most useful? And what things would you say to black women about what you'd like to see for them in the future, and what things you're doing to kind of continue to improve some of their existence in our community? Because I know you do a lot of work, great work, with young girls of color who really, really need leaders like you, and you have a gift to be able to tap into young people. And you're very clear about your vision. So I just want to know from you, like, what things do we need to be equipped with when we deal with people, women in particular of color, because that's my heart, right? Like, women of color, that's how I got here. That's how I was raised by all women. You know what I mean? And I'm always looking for ways to try to connect deeper with women of color.
No doubt. That's a great question. I don't know. Yeah, give it up for him. That's a great fire question.
Yeah. Thank you in the back.
You know what they say, ask better questions, get better answers.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a great question. How did Pac say it? Since we all came from a woman, got a name from a woman, and I came from a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you say next, Horace?
Since we all came from a woman, I think we got to heal our women.
Yes.
Keep it
real with our women. Build our women?
Something.
All right, he snapped. He really
build
did.
But yeah.
All right. So
we in the vicinity.
I mean, first is that acknowledgement, and I think it's so easy for, unfortunately, it's so easy for people to forget. Like I wouldn't be here without my mother and my grandmother and my aunt, you know, and my sisters. So I think just like recognizing that, like it's just the reality of it. And then the next thing I will say is like you have to, what I've learned and what I've tried to continuously develop is to be a good listener. I think is key. Mo mentioned it earlier, but be a good listener and try not to get ahead of yourself and just listen to what people are saying and what women are saying. And like stop acting like you can't connect. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I feel like oftentimes men in particular try to like draw this line of like I just don't get you because you're a woman, and it's like I don't think that's necessarily true, and I think that you can, if you work and if you listen, like you can find some understanding, So I think that's one thing is like don't draw and create a line of division that doesn't necessarily have to be there. But I think empathy is always going to be like the secret sauce to a lot of things. And empathy is just being willing to feel and experience and embrace someone else's reality. Like that's empathy right there. So I think just trying to tap into that. And I think that we can find it. Like you may not know what it's like to be a woman, but can you pull from your own experiences and draw parallels? And I think we can, if we're alert and if we're sober minded. I think for young girls and the girls that the young ladies that I work with, I don't know, man. They're special. I don't know. I want them to be well. I want them to feel cared for and loved and respected, and just see themselves as worthy. Like, and what I want from them is no different than, or what I want for them is no different than what I want for my own daughters. And I think if we engage and kind of go about our relationships that way, then we create a more healthy environment and we support young women the way that they need to be supported. So I think just remembering that, like I always remember the ways that my family members, the women have loved me, and try to reciprocate that. And yeah, I think that's kind of it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to Horace with the next topic, ownership.
Yes, ownership. I want to start with a quote from Kobe Bryant, actually. Do we have any Kobe Bryant fans out there?
Kobe, there's got to be a couple. Yes. Oh, yeah, I see hands. Yes. I see him.
Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe said, your life is the one thing that you're in control of. You are responsible for how people remember you or don't. So don't take it lightly. Again, Kobe said, your life is the one thing that you're in control of. You are responsible for how people remember you or don't. Mm-hmm. So don't take it lightly. And with the topic of ownership, I thought about it a bit when you guys gave me that topic to talk about. Ownership. What exactly do I want to speak on? Do I want to talk about tangible goods, ownership of property, ownership of what? And then I said, you know what? I feel like accountability, ownership of one's self,
deep.
of one's actions.
I love that.
That's what I really want to focus on, right? Yeah. So the question is, how do we take accountability for our own lives?
Man, I thought you was going to teach me how to own a home.
Not yet, but we're going to get there. We will get there. How do we take accountability for our own lives? You crazy. Y'all crazy. This is the tame version of us right here. Usually we should, I told y'all we should have brought the bourbon out. We should have took some shots before we came, but we'll get into that later.
This is not drink champ.
People's kids are here, man.
Listen.
What's wrong with
they
you?
seen you drink before. Stop it, man.
They ain't seen Uncle T drink.
Seen you do this.
No.
Let's turn up a little bit. Let's bring our energy up some here. Look, there's many ways for us to be accountable and to take ownership of our own lives, right? But I want to focus on three things. The first thing I want to talk about is weaknesses. I feel like that's something that most people don't really, we don't talk about that. Everybody, especially in our social media era that we live in. Everybody, drip. Everybody drip, pop. Everybody want
Everybody's
to talk
popping.
about how fly they are, how sexy they are, but we don't talk about the weaknesses. We don't put that on blast. How many photos did it take you to get that one photo that you posted? I want to see the other ones. Show me the ones that didn't turn out so good. I want to know the weaknesses. If you don't know what your weaknesses are, and you don't focus on building those weaknesses, how are you ever going to make progress? How do you get better in life, right? So I think one of the ways when you actually, or a few ways how to define your personal weaknesses, you can take some time out to be still, to be quiet, and to meditate in solitude. Thomas touched on that with his first question, right? Just taking that time. We got so much stuff going on in our lives these days. Everybody's busy, moving fast. Everybody got a lot of stuff to do. Even the kids got a lot of stuff to do, right? They're out the door before it's time for them to be out the door. They wake up, got to get breakfast, watch a little TV, get the clothes on, get ready. They're at school, running around.
Get it together.
Yeah, it's a lot going on for all of us, right? So taking at least 10 minutes to have some personal time, some solitude, with no TV on, no phone on, nobody around, just kind of being introspective, whether you pray or just meditate, to think about how you want your day to go. Where do you see the day going? We're talking about Black Future Month. Let's think ahead to the future. Let's think it through. It takes time to do that. 10 minutes of solitude is like a lifetime for this generation here. Try to be still, like set your clock. When I do it, and I even try to set it for 5 minutes, I'm like, when is the alarm gonna go off? Because it just feels like forever, right? But with practice and with consistency, it's something that you can do every day, and it'll help you tap into a power and harness a power that you didn't even know was inside of yourself. So I feel like that's something that you should do every day. So I'm talking to everybody out there, especially the youth. Another thing is, I think this has been mentioned a lot. If you read a lot of like self-help books and self-progress books, they say you're the sum of like the closest people, like the 5 closest people that are around you. Mm-hmm. Some people say that's not true. I agree that it is true. Mm-hmm. I just think back to my youth, and I look at the pockets of people that I knew who were surrounded with the wrong crowd, or the crowd that wasn't so positive, had negative attitude, and I see where they are now, and I'm like, okay, the proof is in the pudding. You're where you are right now because of, how you were influenced, what you allowed to influence you. Okay, so surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded individuals. That's why when I, met Thomas, Dionté, Mo, I knew like instantly, these are guys that I want to build with. I want to build a brotherhood with them. And I've been here for 10 years, and I have not had a lot of friends since I've been here, because I really just didn't want to be close to people. Got a lot of acquaintances, you meet people, you do business, you keep it moving, but not people who I've like allowed into my personal space, my personal life, the people who I trust, who I can come to each one of them and say, I need help. Can you help me with this? I'm struggling with this. I can be vulnerable with them. So I think that's the word, right? Find some people you can be vulnerable with, and people that'll keep you in check. Also, like, you need people that's gonna tell you when you're doing something that's trash. If they see you doing something that don't make sense, you need somebody that's gonna say, don't do that. Doesn't make sense. I don't like it. Don't work for you. Like, straight up, Not somebody that's gonna pat you on the back and tell you how dope, how awesome you are all the time. Like, no one needs a yes man. Yeah. We need people who are gonna help us and lift us up. So,
real quick.
Yeah, jump in.
And talking about weaknesses, like so once I identify those, how do I share those?
How do you share them?
Because I'm gonna keep it a bill. If I'm scrolling through my timeline,
Talk
you
to
having a crisis.
Talk to him, D.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's the place.
Sliding.
Respectfully, right? So it's like, where is the platform?
Not social media, bro.
And
not there.
Because it's like, I feel like Instagram, social media is made for the highlights.
Yeah.
You need to see the gold chain.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right. So where do I go when
You go
When the gold chain is
that's
off.
what I just said. You go to your closest people.
All right.
You go to your people that you trust. You can't take advice from, Tommy Tyrone. Or if you just met off the block. You're not gonna take advice from that person.
Tommy Tyrone.
Tommy Tyrone, you out
Watch
there?
out.
Where you at?
If you out
Get
there,
outta
bro,
here.
I'm not
Beat
listening
it.
to you.
Tommy Tyrone, I just
Not
deleted
listening
you.
to you,
I'm
dog.
deleting you right now.
Man, my man. Listen, you
So
want to take it.
talk to your homies. Talk to your
talk
inner
to your
circle.
people. Talk to your folks, man. People that you really trust. That's gonna give you good advice. Gonna help set you straight. People you trust, and people who are spiritually and emotionally connected as well. Like you said, not people who are disconnected from their emotions. Sometimes we do have friends in our life. Sometimes they're in our life for us to, they need to lean on us. It's a give and take.
Yeah.
So anyway, you go to your people that you can trust.
sure.
Do not go to IG. Definitely don't go to TikTok. You're not gonna get nothing out of that in the long run. It's all short-term game, so don't do that, right?
So drop it in the group chat.
Yeah, with
Or
your,
call
with
the
your, with your
homies.
guys.
Yes.
I'm gonna drop it to y'all.
Yes.
Or I'm gonna talk to my wife. I'm married. Or if you have you got a girlfriend out there. I don't know, side John that you close with. Drop it to them. I don't know. Whoever you can talk to that you
Thomas
trust.
not the side. Don't do it.
Thomas looked at me like, "What are you doing? Don't do that."
That is not wellness.
Well, listen. What do we call that?
That's
Thomas?
acidic, not alkaline. Don't
That's
do that.
toxic. It's
We're gonna
toxic.
edit that out actually at the end, so he
Keep
didn't say
that in there. Keep it in there. Listen, we putting everything out on the table today, man. We
Right.
talking
No, we're
being
not.
Candid.
No, we are.
I'm putting
not.
it all out there. All right, I'm putting it out.
Talk your talk.
So, next question is for Thomas.
God.
Don't worry, you know what it is already. Thomas, you heard I opened with Kobe. I know you're a Kobe fan,
I'm
right?
a Kobe fan.
You run a youth basketball program.
I do.
You're that guy over there. They look up to you.
We won a
And
championship today, actually.
Congrats,
Hey.
I just want to say that.
Championship,
Hey,
congratulations.
I just wanna say that.
Should have
Congratulations.
dropped that in the group
It's 4 in a
chat.
row. It's fine.
We got a champ in the corner over here. Shout out
Yeah.
to the team. That's what's up.
It's fine. Thank you.
That's what's up. So we know you're big on meditation as well, because we touched on that.
Yep.
So keeping all of that in mind, how do you define, because as a coach with your players, yeah, you see who the good ones are, you see their strengths, but you have to find their weaknesses also. You have to see what they're weak and build those things up. That's what's going to balance it out and make them a better player. How do you define those things? How do you, how do you see that in a person? What are some things that you're looking for? And how can others utilize these methods to define it in themselves?
For me personally, I identify my own weaknesses. The things I keep bumping my head on are my weaknesses. That's how I look at it. So if I've had to relearn a lesson multiple times, that's a weakness. So for example, I'll be very vulnerable here. Again, been here 10 years. Been in 4 or 5 or whatever the number is, serious relationships in those 10 years, right? 4 or 5? It doesn't matter. The number's not important. The point is, in those relationships, each one I was in, I kept realizing I'm learning the same lesson over and over and over and over again. I keep making the same mistake over and over, right? And so that means the weakness. Because again, it's not in harmony with me. That's not wellness, right? So it's a weakness because it does not align with how I want to feel, who I want to be, how I want other people in my relationships to feel, and how they, you know what I mean? So that's how I identify weaknesses in me. Now, when it comes to my players, it's a very similar thing. The thing you keep messing up, the thing you struggle to improve, that keeps tripping you up, as I'm watching you and studying you and we work out together and I'm training you one-on-one and I'm having conversations with you and then I'm watching you in a game and the same situation keeps messing you up, that is a weakness. And so we identify those things as lessons we keep having to learn or cycles we're forced to repeat because the universe is like, you ain't get this yet.
Yes.
You don't get it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not strong here yet. Obviously, the bridge between weakness and strengths is your awareness and accountability and the practice of actually getting better. You don't just get better. And I was like growing up, I remember like my grandfather would tell me this every day before school. And he'd be like, there's no such thing as staying the same. You either get better today or you're going to get worse. Right? And so there is no like, I'm cool for a while. There's no coast. There's no autopilot. Like if you didn't put in work today on your craft, you got a little bit worse today.
Grandparents always gonna tell you the truth.
You're going to keep it 100.
They gonna keep it.
And so I feel like that's the weakness thing for me. Like, all right, I keep learning this lesson. I keep bumping my head on this thing until I'm man or woman enough to say, this is a problem for me. Let me look in the mirror. I'm not good at this. It goes back to what you said, accountability.
Okay.
And back to what I said prior to that, which is having the awareness, right? And that's you got to practice that. Like we're not just all born with like superb awareness of who we are and how we get to problem solving and all.
Right.
You got to practice
It's a skill set that you have to build.
Absolutely.
So
Meditation's
with
a skill.
that being said, also, since you are a coach, you see a player who's not ready.
Right.
You're going to say, I love you. You need to work on this. But you're also going to sit on the bench for a little bit till you get better.
I had that conversation with a player and his mom this afternoon
Tell us about it.
during a tournament.
Tell us. I want to know.
High-level tournament. This is a high-level national, stakes tournament.
Yeah.
We ended up winning it, but I had a kid who's disgruntled, right? He was upset he didn't play a lot yesterday. We had a throwaway game early this morning. We blew a team out by about 60, so he played a lot in that game.
Yes.
But then it's championship game time.
Yeah.
You're not going to see if I can't, like your coach is trying to find if he can trust you or not. If I can't trust you to get over your weaknesses, and so I said this to a kid in practice on Thursday. I stopped practice. I said, yo, stop taking shots you don't work on.
Ooh.
I don't want to see you take another shot I haven't seen you put in work on.
That's an annoying player.
Right.
Sorry, I know it's a child, but
Bench
when
'em.
people do that,
Right.
like they do things that's uncharacteristic, like you didn't work on that.
Don't
so
take the
why
shot.
are you doing it in
Right.
the game when it count the most? Like,
So now
that's
you
kinda
take a crazy shot you don't work on. I don't trust you in this situation.
Right.
The ball gets kicked over to you 2-3 times. You're in the corner right, and you don't practice that shot. So now it's that the movement, the pattern, the rhythm of that, it's all foreign to you.
But you know what they say? Shoot your shot.
Nah.
Yeah, but don't shoot it if you haven't worked on it. Like if that's not
Right.
your thing, don't
Shoot
do
your
that.
shot.
Like,
After
no,
you
don't
practice
shoot
it.
your shot. Don't.
Shoot a practice
No.
See,
shot.
that's another social media. That's a meme. That's
That's
like
a
a meme
meme.
thing. Don't shoot your shot.
Right.
That's
Do
what-
not shoot it. That you're gonna miss.
Kid, you hear that? Don't shoot
You're gonna
your
miss.
shot
If you
unless
haven't
you
worked on
practice
it,
that
don't
Work
shot.
shoot
on
it.
it. Work on it,
Work
kids.
on your
The
shot.
memes will tell you to
For
shoot
real.
your shot.
So that's
Don't
me.
shoot
That's
it.
me. The
You
weakness
will
thing.
miss.
I would say weaknesses is how I identify that, and
So you miss 100%
Insanity
that you don't take.
is described. It's defined as something you keep doing over,
Over
and
and over
over and
again.
hoping for
same
different
different result. Yep.
and you get the same result.
Right. Right.
If you're not working on it, it's like, yo, if you can't control yourself, can't control your drinking, stop going to the bar every single weekend.
Right.
Right? Don't go to the liquor
Don't shoot your
store.
shot.
Don't shoot your shot. You got to work on these things.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. Let's
All right.
let's slide. Let's
keep
keep it moving.
Yeah, let's keep it moving.
All right,
Let's
I
keep
just,
it
I'm
moving.
getting buzz from the company. They're saying let's do this thing. So let's get it.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So that was my first thing. My first one was
The streets
right?
is buzzing.
weaknesses. We want to talk about weaknesses next, the next of the three, because there's three main things I want to focus on when it comes to accountability, right? So defining your weaknesses. Number two was you want to nurture good relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important to be able to nurture good relationships. That's one way how you can take great accountability and control, accountability and responsibility and control of your own life, right? So in LA, here, this city, I remember when I first moved here, I used to hear in the circles I was in, I would hear people, say, "What you doing this weekend?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going networking, going to network." "Oh, where? What you doing?" "No, I'm going to the club, going to the bar to go network." And I just look at them like, what are you talking about? Like I heard it so much.
Right.
I'm going out. You going out again? Like this the fourth time already this week? Yeah, I'm networking. You're not networking at the club or the bar. You're not. Like you may meet some people there, but they're not trying to network with you. They trying to do something else, right? So I just remember that, and I was like, it's backwards. That's not how you network. That's not how you build strong relationships. I'm not saying you can't meet people out. Obviously, you got to go out. But when we're talking about building serious relationships, there's one thing that I touched on earlier that I said was very important, and it's something that I know a lot of people don't do in this city, which is very fast-paced. everybody's me. It's all about what I got going on and what I'm doing. We don't take the time to actually schedule something, to say, listen, on this date at this time, this is when we're going to link, even if it's for 5 minutes, even if I just reach out to you on text, a Zoom, whatever. This is the time that I'm going to reach out to you and build with you. That's something that a lot of people, what did we say before
Like I said, if somebody says to you, hey, let's get together sometime, it's a wrap.
If it's
not
a wrap,
happening.
if they don't put a date and a time on it, it's not happening, okay? So
you don't like me. You don't want to. You have no intention of getting together with me.
for real, that's the truth. So Dionté, I want to throw this one at you, because excuse me, for Mo. This is for Mo, because
I beat you.
yeah, this is this one is for Mo because I feel like Mo is the connector for all of us. Like I feel like it's a gift of yours, actually. Like, you are a people person and you're able to nurture these relationships with people of all different backgrounds, of different cultural status. I've seen you do it. I've seen you. When you took me to that reading, and he was like, yo, you want to come check this reading out? It's in West Hollywood. And we get to the door, and my man, Michael Mondo from Better Call Saul, pops up at the door. Just telling this little story because it was crazy. Because I'm like, oh, we going to a little, backyard thing. And it was Michael Mondo. And I'm watching this show in real time. Like, I was like, yo, what happens to your character next week? I was kind of fanboying a little bit. But Mo brought me to this.
Mo know everybody.
He does. Somehow he's connected. He's like the black Kevin Bacon, right? Like, he's 6 degrees separation from everybody, right? So, Mo, I want to point this question to you. I feel like this is a gift of yours, but it's also, I feel like it's a skill set that you've built over time. How do you go about nurturing your relationships with so much going on, with being a father of 4, running a theater, you're a businessman? How do you nurture relationships? What do you do? And how can you help us be able to nurture our relationships better?
I appreciate that, HD. Well, it's something that I mentioned before, and it's just really listening. And, being a father, which is my topic, I learned to be patient and just really take the time to listen to someone. A lot of times, we talked about therapy. In a lot of ways, for people that are in my life, I'm sort of a therapist, if you will. I truly listen, and I give as much information as I can because that's what I would want from the people that I care about, to share with me, and not hold back anything. And I think people see that genuine quality. It's like, I want everyone around me to succeed, and a lot of people, we talk basketball a lot. Kobe's my, like my GOAT, if you will. And there's a discussion. They're probably going to get on the mic right now, but the Mike and Kobe.
Don't open up that bag.
Listen, hold on. But like, what I want, I'm just give the acknowledgement I'm giving is, a lot of times we take somebody like a Michael Jordan, and as great as he was, we think no one can surpass that. We can't surpass a master. And a job of a master is to teach someone to be better than them. So in that respect, in my life, I want everyone to get theirs, because no one can do what I do the way I do it. So I don't have a competition, and we're competing. In reality, no one's competing with me. Mm-hmm. And I want everyone to know that out there. No one's competing with me because you can't do what I do the way I can do it. There's only going to be one me. I'm a blueprint. Mm-hmm. So are all of you. So is everybody up here.
I'm a blueprint.
So the reality is there's no competition, and I think people read that when they come up against an energy like mine, is where, man, I'm not competing with you, and I'm listening to you, and I want to see you succeed. I want to help you in any way I can. I want to connect you in any way I can so you can grow. So that's basically it.
Crazy. Love it. Love it.
I'm a blueprint.
I'm a blueprint.
That's what you say to yourself when you wake up?
That's right.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That's saying the wrong things.
Crazy, boy. I know. I'm going to start saying that to myself in the mirror, too.
Say it. Affirmation.
I'll be like, I'm
I'm a
tired and I'm
blueprint.
hungry.
I like
I
that.
need to say I'm a blueprint. What's up?
Dang, you gotta follow that up. That was crazy. He
All
went
right,
off.
let's get it.
Listen.
And then we sliding back to Mo, so I'm gonna be quick. What you got for me?
Okay, I got one for you. Number 3, the third key to me, I think the third most important key is to be a problem solver. I feel like it's integral to life progress. I feel like most of the wealthiest people in the world, like when we talk about Jeff Bezos, or we talk about Elon Musk, or Steve Jobs, right? Yeah, we think of what they built, but they were major problem solvers. They solved major problems for us, like Elon with electric cars, right? That's solving a major the energy problem, okay? Jeff Bezos, everything we want at our fingertips. Anything, you could order it, bam, almost you'll have it within the next day. You don't have to go out anymore. Steve Jobs, obviously, he gave us the hardware to be able to place the order, to be able to communicate and connect with each other, right? Major problem solvers.
Hold up, though.
Huh?
Madam C.J. Walker.
Oh, wow. See, you going deep.
Come on, D. Come on, D. I like that.
Talk
Robert
to him.
F. Smith.
Speak on it.
Going
Talk
deep.
to him.
You going deep. We talking about major
I just want to talk
problem
about it, you know.
solvers. That's Madam
George
CJ.
Washington Carver.
Come on.
Let's go.
Come on now. And these are people that like predate
Yeah.
the Bezos and the Elon.
Yeah,
like,
we gotta
so
talk
they're like
about
the
it.
forefathers
Gotta
of this,
talk
and
about
they don't get their due. Shout out to them. And my bad for not throwing them in there.
We
I'm sorry,
back.
you
We
forgive me?
back.
Am
We
I
back.
forgiven
We got
for
you.
that?
We
I'm
got you.
sorry.
Don't worry. We got
It's
you.
right.
still February.
It is. It is. We got a couple more days left. So
All year round.
right, they gave us the shortest month of the year, but there are a couple more days left in this, right? So problem solvers,
Mm-hmm.
they make our world better. I think, so we go into social media again, because it's so prevalent in our culture. Social media, when we get on, what do we see? We either see people who are flexing, or we see people who are complaining. We see a lot of complainers.
Sure.
This happened to me, or why they doing this? Blah, 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 blah. Like, right? Those kind of make up there's an imbalance. It's one or the other, I feel like, whenever I go on social media. That's what I see. Or like funny videos, something like that, right?
You know.
So I'm either being entertained, or I got somebody telling me all the problems that they have in their life. But I feel like what we need, especially in our community, we need more problem solvers.
Facts.
We need more of that. One person who I know personally who is a problem solver is you,
Let's go.
Dionté.
Facts.
Try to be.
Dionté, as he stated, he runs Urban Promise Los Angeles with his wife, Meg.
Shout out to
run
Meg.
that. Shout out Meg. Shout out Meg.
And the babies.
Hey, girl.
Meg, make some noise
Right.
where you at.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, they run UPLA, nonprofit organization. I repeat, a nonprofit organization. That may not sound like much, but in LA, in Los Angeles, in California, that's major. Because like I said, Los Angeles is the city of me, me, me. You don't have a lot of people here who are in the service industry who are serving without looking to get something back first or something back in return. Dionté and Megan, but Dionté is so selfless and so humble and is genuine. And he's a major problem solver. This is a person who, he has his own family, first of all, 2 young daughters. And then he goes to work at the school, and he has more youth, more adolescents. And you know, because we were all adolescents at one time, or are right now, we all had a lot of issues at that time. We were trying to figure ourselves out.
For sure.
They got the most problems. There's a lot to figure out. So that's being kind of heaped on you and thrown on you as well. And I feel like the same thing with you is just like with Thomas. I feel like Thomas, naturally, he's a natural coach. He guides people. That's why he's great at what he does. He has that gift and that ability. Mo, naturally good at what he does, at nurturing relationships, being a good listener. You, I feel like you are an amazing problem solver. That's what makes you great at your job. What? So the question now is for you. Is this something that you realized? Were you aware of this when you were younger? And how do you continue to sharpen this skill that you have in your skill set? And how can we sharpen our problem-solving skills? So that's kind of a three-pronged question.
All right. Did I always have it is what you're asking me.
Yeah.
I like to think so. I like to think so. I'm not sure. I mean, I know I always had problems, so we can start there.
Okay.
So that's one thing, whether it's like within myself or environmentally. But I mean, I think with those problems also came like a great deal of hope.
Yeah.
So, you know, in order to reconcile those things, like the hope that you have and the aspirations that you have for your life, along with the problems and the obstacles that are in front of you, like you essentially have to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
I worked at an organization in Charlotte, and their tagline was turning obstacles into opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's the bar right there. And that's kind of what life is.
Yes.
And I think it can be nurtured. I think you have to have an end game strategy, and you got to have a vision for where you're going. I remember growing up playing chess with my dad. My dad taught me how to play chess, and chess is a strategic game, and you sort of have to see the road that's ahead of you. You got to see the obstacles, and you also have to see the opportunities, and how can you leverage those things. So you already thinking 3 steps ahead of the game. So I think just like taking those type of lessons and applying them to your everyday life is essential. I remember, so quick story, when I was a kid, kind of typical inner city kid story, but grew up in poverty, right? And just remember always being hungry, but also always being broke. And this is when I was really young. So 2 things I did. First, I started collecting bottles from my house, from around the corner, anywhere I can find a bottle, I would collect it, and then I would bring it back to the store because they gave you 10 cents per every bottle.
You was a hustler.
So I was a hustler right there, right? And then when I got a little bit older, my aunt had an old rusty lawnmower, and I remember being like, man, I can't live like this. So I just started going around the neighborhood, being like, can I cut your grass? And they had throw me a 20, whatever it was, right? So I think just finding solutions for the problems that are in front of you. But then, like, the last thing I'll say is, like, being able to not only, like, leverage that problem-solving skill for yourself, but how do you extend that to others?
Yeah.
And how do you, like, I'm a product of community, and there are so many people that help me down on my road to being here. Yeah. So it's just that mindset of, like, how can I also leverage and utilize my gifts for the community that God's placed me in? And then once you figure that out, you're in the game.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Let's
give it up for that.
Crazy.
Thank you.
Crazy.
Any you have more, Horace, or?
No. Anybody in the audience, y'all got any questions?
Any questions
out there?
For
anybody?
HD? For Horace?
If there, I do want to end with this. I'll end with this, and then we're going to slide it over to Dionté. I want to say this, and it's something that we talked about earlier before we started. And this is for the kids, this for the youth, this for anybody out there. We're talking about accountability and ownership, taking accountability and ownership of your life, right? So have you guys seen the clip of Michael B. Jordan, thing that happened this weekend? I'm talking to some of the older people out there, obviously, right? If you've seen it, so just prefacing the story, Michael B. Jordan this weekend, red carpet at his Creed 3 event, and a woman comes up to him to interview him on the red carpet. She's a podcaster's got podcasts or whatever, and you could already see Michael B. Jordan head kind of cocked back while she approaching. You know what that means? He's about to check you, right? So she comes up and she's like, yeah, we go way back. Yeah, we actually go way back. We buddies, we friends. And he was like, oh, word. I remember didn't you used to call me corny? You used to say I was corny in school. You remember that? Oh, no, I ain't never said that. Blah, 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 doing the whole thing. Yeah, no, I do. I got the receipts. You said I was corny. You remember that? Comes to find out that they actually did go to high school together back in Newark, New Jersey. And in previous podcasts, come to find out, it was mentioned that she said, yeah, he's kind of cheesy, he's kind of corny, but, he doing his thing, but, yeah, he kind of corny, whatever, right? I thought it was such a full circle moment, and it's just magical to see that happen. Michael B. Jordan at the height of his career, where you actually have a naysayer, let's just call it what it is, a hater, and she's at your event, and they trying to pat you on the back now and get in with you, right? And this is for anyone out there that's listening. Listen, Michael B. Jordan, I can see he took ownership and accountability of his own life, because it was mentioned. She said, Michael B. Jordan, he used to come to school with a headshot, and that was corny. We all thought it was corny. He used to come to high school with an acting headshot, for those who don't know. But Michael B. Jordan must have known, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting it out there.
And he was on in high school anyway.
He was on. I'm going to be an actor. He probably was saying, I'm going to be the biggest actor in Hollywood. I mean, he is probably the biggest black actor, young actor, at least right now in Hollywood, right? Listen, got to believe in yourself. Kids, now I'm talking to y'all. Believe in yourself. Have a vision. Even when people calling you corny or calling you crazy, have a vision and stick to it. Take accountability and take ownership of your life. Start today, like Thomas says. Start now. There's no better time than now to start. You do that, and I guarantee you, by the time you're our age, you'll be on the biggest stage in the world, even bigger than this. All right? Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. My topic, like I said, is fatherhood, kingship, and I'm really honored to sort of head this. As I said in the beginning, my father really set the bar high, and the world benefits because of what he poured into me. So I am a representation of my father's wildest dreams, is what I put down as one of my notes, is because when we talk about what matters, and as fathers, we tend to mask a lot. We tend to try to shoulder a lot and act like things don't faze us, so we don't let emotion be seen. I feel like we are heading in a direction now where it's necessary to show that vulnerability to your children, especially as fathers, to know that we're not superheroes. I know that sounds a little strange to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's hard for me. Keep going, though.
Yeah, we are, because the thing is, we are not superheroes. They got to see us as true individuals that have flaws, but that can get back up and move and shake and rattle and roll, Thank you. So I'm going backwards really quick to say the things that we pour into our children is really that's the goal. That's the goal. That I'm a very rich man sitting up here. I'm so rich because what I get, and the biggest pleasures I get, is when I get to hear compliments from parents or people talk about my kids, and it's genuine. I'll share one with you. Recently, I was at a field trip with when it was like a parent. When parents, I was an escort, and a parent pulled me to the side, said, "I got to tell you, my daughter, she talks about your son every day at the dinner table." And she's like, I'm like, probably like a little cute story. She thinks he's so cute. She said, he is the smartest in the school, and he is the kindest kid in the school.
Wow.
Now for me,
smart and kind.
Smart.
now for me, that was so much bigger than any. She thinks he's so cute and da da da. He's, that means so much because it shows you're putting in the work. Another story, really quick, is I come to the school and my son is being another one of my sons is being escorted by the principal and also someone else that works in the office. And I'm like, what's going on? Because they're walking with it. I'm like, this seems strange. They come to me and they tell me at lunchtime he stood up to these bullies that were bullying a kid with autism.
Let's go.
And he stood up and told the person, yo, that's not cool. And these are some of his friends. These are like supposed to be the popular kids in the school. And he's standing up for a kid he doesn't know. That's character. And those are the things that I'm like, that's where you get to see the gold, and that's fatherhood. And that's something that I really cherish. And it all comes from my upbringing with my parents. So once again, give it up for the Ojarigis. Yes, I do, but that was a learned thing. So I because of the process of, we only teach what we know, right? We only give what we know. For instance, this is just off the cuff. Coming here, I seen a father outside, playing basketball with his kid, feeding a ball, and I'm like, I wonder. And this is no knock to professions or what anybody's doing, but I wonder, because you can learn a lot through these sports, right, and different things. But I wonder, would the time that is offered there in passing the ball and doing what we only know we can do, and what about learning something with your child that you don't know how to do?
Keep going.
I'm like, that is fascinating to me, that we have to, as fathers, be this thing where it's like, I can teach you what I know, but so I can keep up this standard of whatever it is, what that looks like. But what can I learn with you?
That's crazy.
Well, that's the superhero thing.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna teach you what I know because I know that I'm good at it to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, but that we can get off of that,
yeah.
And that's what I see in the future. That's my future thing, is because these kids now are on tech. They're doing they're coding. My kids are learning Arabic. One of them speaks fluent Korean.
That's crazy.
I mean, I can't do that.
This is crazy.
I'm learning from them.
Wow.
So we got to get on board with where we're going. And the thing is we got to, as fathers, understand that we got to sit in that place where it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to not be looked at as a superhero and not looked at as somebody that can't make mistakes and can't learn with the child. Like, that is so valid and so important.
And outside of teaching those lessons and kind of learning together, just to go back to the question, how do you show your shortcomings to your kids?
That's right.
That's true.
No, I'm asking you, how do you show those things other than let's say you're good at basketball, which we notice, but other than going out and being like, all right, now I'm gonna show you how to play tennis. When you don't live up to that superhero mark, how do you communicate that and share that moment with your child? What does that look like for you? You get what I'm asking?
Not really. So are you saying
how do you be imperfect, and how does that manifest?
Well,
outside of just the learning process, but I made a mistake and it's on display for you as my child to see. What does that look like for you?
Sure.
Is that better?
Yeah. I would say, even on a personal note, let's say me and my wife, Imani, are having a disagreement or something, and the kids may catch wind of it. A lot of times in households, this is adult stuff. Move on and go somewhere. Yeah, there is time for that. But then you have to check back in and have another sit down with the kids and talk about that process. We had a disagreement about this, and this, and this is how we came to this resolution, so they get an understanding of what a healthy relationship looks like. Because all they'll know is, they arguing. Let's just keep moving. Let's not interrupt. Let's not.
No context.
There's no context to it, and it just ends. And it's like, no, we involved them in this process. Hey, we were having a little debate about this, and she thinks this way, which is valid, and I think this way, and we came to this resolution by this, and this, by these action items. And the kids grow so much from that. They grow tremendously from being involved and not just being cut off like a faucet and being told to, stay in their place, and then, it just pops back up.
Yeah.
I do want to give my quotes really quick.
Drop 'em.
So my 2 quotes that I picked was my favorite of all time is by Maya Angelou, and it's, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Feel is such a real thing. You know for a fact how you feel. Sometimes you can't repeat what somebody did to you or said to you, but you know that feeling. And that's one of the high qualities of a father, I think, is understanding your mark and how you make your children feel. How you make them feel. How you make them feel. Anyone. Then my next quote is by Tupac Shakur, my favorite artist. He says, "Currency means nothing if we still ain't free." Currency means nothing if we still ain't free. You can have the bag. I know personal people that have bags. It doesn't free you. It doesn't free you. Black people in particular have a really, really complex problem because we live in nostalgia, right? Because our history has been lied. We've been lied to about our history. So we got to do a lot of uncovering and trying to discover in our adulthood, right? So we're trying to unearth all this stuff while the world is going this way, while everybody else is planning and they get to work it out, and we're trying to figure out who the heck we are. Really, so we have a lot of work to do in that area of discovery, but let me get back on topic because this is so passionate about my thing. So growing up, like I said, my name, Muhammad Ali Ojarigi, I had to state my name constantly, and it built my character up. Another facet that I had was I knew exactly my tribe. I knew where my people came from, and that was a huge benefit, and also knew the legacy. I have seriously kings and queens in my family, in my bloodline.
See, not everybody knows that.
Not everybody knows that.
So that's a blessing.
And I have that. But the time that I got with my father, and my mom is here as well. My mom is thebomb.com.
She a real one.
A real one. Diane, I love you, baby. And the time that I got, but this is specifically for my fathers, that my dad spent with me. We went fishing. We would he drove us all around the U.S., state to state. We would take family trips. And I'll be honest with you, some of the times I did not want to go because I was young. I wanted to be with my friends. But he'd be like, "We're going fishing. We're going here, da-da-da." And those times are the times that I remember most. Not even the trinkets, the little gifts and stuff that I got for holidays or whatever. I go back to those times, fishing, driving, just being with my dad. And that investment that he put into me meant so much.
That's real.
Fatherhood looks so different to everyone, but there are some pillars that I wanted to hit that I want to make sure that are highlighted here. As a father, you have to love. You have to show affection. You have to be dependable. You have to be involved. You have to be empathetic, and you have to be compassionate. Honesty. Now, honesty, I put also in quotes, a father makes mistakes, because I really want us to get over that hump of being superheroes. I want us to be real humans.
But you are a superhero at the same time. I think you are. I think all of you guys
You are.
are. But
And
I
it
feel
sounds
like
like your
you,
dad was
because
too.
even the greatest superheroes have weaknesses and have flaws. They're not perfect either. So you can still be a superhero like you are, and have flaws and weaknesses. Look at Superman, Kryptonite. Like
Yeah.
he's got an Achilles. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, and I honor that. I will say the artists that I love are the ones like a Tupac, where you get to see the full spectrum of someone. You don't get to see just one side.
Yeah, that's important.
That's so important because you get to see a true human being and you get to see it. And as fathers, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes we shelter that.
You only show the superhero.
You only show the superhero
Yeah, so
and not the.
You can be a hero
Yeah.
and do that and live in that, but also show those vulnerable sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
you said, Horace, vulnerable.
that's right.
Vulnerable.
And through fatherhood, you know, as black people in particular, I noted, and we talked about this in some of our Zoom meetings. We had several Zoom meetings to, you know, come up with this. And I thought about fatherhood through enslavement, fatherhood through Jim Crow, the crack epidemic, the drug laws, the prison industrial complex, welfare, all these different things that you gotta try to operate and be a father in that society has put up for us to kind of like walk through. So with this right here, this brotherhood, which matters, is building this up so you have an accountability of brothers that can say, you ain't right here, you ain't wrong here, you ain't whatever. So we can have this real dialogue about different things because we need each other. Because if you look at, and that's just a few lists of some of the things that we went through in our history as black men that we had to navigate and still try to be fathers through what these little things that not even little, but these huge things that I listed, you know, that we're still trying to shake up out of.
Just a quick interjection, like as you mentioned those things, like there are, you know, all of those things happen, and in the midst of all of those things happening, men were still fathering their children.
That's right.
But they were taking these approaches to fatherhood that may have been appropriate or may have felt appropriate in those times, and then they're passed down. And that's kind of what we talk about when you talk about generational trauma and all of these things that you kind of take on, and you're like, man, like I did this. And there's a lot of healthy examples of what a father is and could and should be. But there are also these things that we latch on to that, crazy enough, could have been passed down literally from slavery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nuts, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and
we don't know. It's just like, oh, that's
just
what my parents
thing.
did.
That's what we do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, that is the terrain in which people were parenting.
yes, that's right.
That's nuts.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Crazy.
And even, you know, kicking into as fathers, we want to be, we want to leave legacy, meaning we want to leave material possessions, we want to leave lands and all these different things. But if you're not pouring into your child, they can't take care of that property. They can't take care of the thing that you're leaving. So what's more important? Pouring into those, the real thing is pouring into those children. My dad loved me so much, my mom loved me so much that I didn't want to disappoint them. Now think about what I just said there. They loved me so much, I didn't want to disappoint them. Most people operate separately. They're afraid to get their butts whooped. You know what I'm saying? But they loved me so much, I was like, I do not want to disappoint these people. And when I did, I felt horrible. And I feel like the frame of fatherhood begins with love, understanding, and not trying to be perfect.
This man snapped. He snapped.
He went off.
That's a TED Talk.
Steph Curry.
That's a TED Talk.
All right, D, it's on you, man. We got to keep it moving. We
All right,
we
we
almost
got to
out.
keep it moving. So just want to talk about education. So we've talked about wellness. We've talked about ownership. We've talked about kingship, a.k.a. fatherhood. So I just wanted to spend some time talking about education. A couple of my quotes. We were like, hey, let's draw some quotes from some of our favorite authors. What's up? It's true. I got you.
Get him, Meg.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
Well, before I quote myself, let me
You got a
open
real
up
one, D.
with a couple of
Quote
quotes
yourself
that
now.
I got.
Don't do it yourself.
One of my favorite rappers, Nas, said, read more, learn more, change the globe.
Hey.
Read more, learn more, change the globe. And then another quote that I added in there kind of bounces off what Mo was saying, but this comes from Bob Marley. He says, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." It's those lines for me that really stand out and kind of shape my approach towards education. We live in this age of information where we have everything at our disposal. So even the shortcomings of what our parents were able to equip us with, or the shortcomings of a public school system, or charter, private, whatever the case may be, like, we have information at our disposal. And, just thinking about those quotes, it says, read more, learn more. Like, you got to take that initiative to really, like, dive in and be, excellent and an expert in your craft and in your field. And as you read more and as you learn more, then you can make the necessary changes that need to be made. And then the next one, the emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Man, that's a deep one. I don't even know if I'm ready to unpack, and I don't know if I have time to unpack in this amount of time. Well, another quote that we often throw around when we talk back to problem solving is, a lot of times we spend our lives waiting on Superman. And the fact of the matter is, in a lot of cases, Superman ain't coming. It's just the reality of it. So if you're waiting on this thing, this person, this whatever to happen, like, it's not going to happen.
No saviors.
But you have the capacity within yourself to emancipate yourself from those mental blocks that keep you from actualizing and being who you were made to be. That's the word on that one. Let's see. Another one of my favorite quotes in terms of education is that education should not be a way out of your neighborhood, but instead it should be a tool for improving it. Education should not be a way out of your neighborhood, but it should be a tool for improving it. That quote comes from Dr. Chris Emden. He's an incredible educator and one that I follow pretty closely, but that resonates with me, and it resonates to the work that I'm doing. And as you work with youth, like especially youth of color, inner city, urban youth, whatever the case is, I kind of think about my own story. Like, growing up, you think about education as a tool to get out of the hood, and whatever you got to do, get out of the hood. But when we leave the hood, we kind of forsake the hood and allow it to deteriorate because we go off to wherever. So instead, it's kind of flipping that and saying that education could be used as a tool to better your environment, to better your home life and your community. If you use that wisdom, that knowledge that's gained, those skills, and you reinvest back into your community, then you're creating, we're talking about the future. That's how the path to the future is created, by using those things that we have and reinvesting them in the community. Plot twist, spoiler alert, a lot of other communities do that.
They do.
A lot of other communities understand this idea of reinvesting and putting back into your community. But oftentimes that's a lost art form for the Black community because we take our talents to South Beach, if you will.
Whoa,
Yeah.
leave his name out of
I
this.
see what you did there.
Come on, he did his
Come on,
thing,
man.
bro.
He didn't do
Come
nothing
on,
wrong.
He did his thing.
I'm just saying,
Bron ain't here to
but
defend himself.
we talking about LeBron here. He took his talents to
Shout
South
out to
Beach,
LeBron.
He came
to South
back,
Beach,
though.
but he also
The school.
reinvested back into his
He did
community,
it.
and
He
that's
did it.
that's
Facts.
beautiful, and that's what we can do, and we don't have to be LeBron to do that.
No, that's so true though.
True.
What you said, because I told y'all, what my ex girlfriend, one of my ex girlfriends, college sweetheart, she's Korean, and she told me every year her family would get together, all the elders in the family, and they would each, they would give one family $10,000 each, and they would use that to go start a business or invest it somewhere, and they did it every single year. All the families within that family got together, 10 grand each family goes to one family every year. That's what they did, and obviously they were, very successful, very wealthy.
It's that thing, and it's like when we talk about education as well, sometimes our mind automatically goes to schooling and traditional schooling, but education isn't just that.
Yeah.
Education is really like equipping yourself and being equipped with the knowledge and the skills and the resources that you need to be able to live a healthy life and to create change. Schools, in its healthiest sense, like ultimately, like curate knowledge and kind of package it to give it to you and say like these are your base skills. So like I get that, but on the other ends, like we have the resources and we have access to like educate ourselves, and that's not just like, you know, that's not just algebra and arithmetic and all of those things, but it's like, how can I be learning, like what skills do I need to be acquiring, what things do I need to learn to really succeed in this world? And that is how we need to think about education as well, because again, we automatically go to school, but it's like, what values, what character are we investing and investing in our children and educating our kids with? You know, like that is an investment. You know, they're not going to teach you how to fish at school. That's not going to happen, but you can educate the youth with those type of tools. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is this, you know, when we talk about the future of education, the honest truth is many of the jobs that today's children will work in don't even exist yet.
This is true. This is so true.
A lot of the jobs that like our kids are gonna occupy like haven't even been thought of. Like we're not even there yet. So how do you educate?
Well, they're creating.
The way to jump in is you look for problems. There's problems that haven't even come up yet. So being a problem solver, like you are, right? The kids out there, you look for what's the problem that we're going to face in the future, and how somebody out there is going to solve that problem.
For sure. And look, problem solving to me, and this goes back to how you educate kids, like problem solving to me is a soft skill. And like kids of the future, youth of the future are going to need more soft skills to be able to navigate. Like you got to be a problem solver. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to know how to communicate well. You have to know how to build relationships. Like all of those things, like those will never go out of style. Those will never be outdated, you know? So when we think about educating our kids, like that is the input and the deposit that we should be making into them, because you can be good anywhere you go if you have that core set of skills.
Absolutely. You need the soft set and you need the hard set too. I think in the soft set of skills, if I can surmise what you're saying, is the soft set of skills is kind of a little more cognitive. Is it that?
Well, it's cognitive. It's emotional intelligence as well. It's like all of these different things. It's not necessarily like a hard skill. It's
not like STEM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need STEM, but we also need STEMologists who are able to tap into their humanity
for sure,
and who are not only able to communicate and code on these machines, but I know how to solve real problems with real people.
Absolutely.
Not to say that those problems aren't real, but it's that balance. If we're talking about education in the future, we got to talk about technology, because that's where everything is going. Mo, I don't think you got to hit your point, but you know, we've had these discussions about kids are technologically advanced, and they're probably going to be teaching us how to navigate these things in the future. You know, so I think it's just setting them up to be able to navigate technology. Like the pandemic kind of shook everything up, and it was like, oh, aha. We don't have to necessarily come to school. We can do remote learning. Kids can learn at their own pace, and I think that's a lot of the future of education. But those type of futuristic approaches like have to be kind of conjoined with like the infrastructure that's needed in like communities of color. Because they're going to make these advancements in education, and it's going to be suitable for a lot of people and a lot of students in affluent communities, but then it's going to create a bigger gap for students who are already under-resourced. So I think just like being mindful of that, and it's like like what would it look like for us to create these educational environments where marginalized, disadvantaged, underserved communities and students like have the resources that they need so that they can truly be competitive, and not even just competitive, but they can truly be their highest and fullest versions of themselves. I'm gonna stop right there.
No. I think that's a great place. I think just leading off of that, what can we leave the people with, the audience? What can we, because we said a lot here today. We talked a lot, and we can keep going. I mean, we've had conversations literally where we talk for 5 hours, freestyle, went in the car, spit some bars, put some instrumentals on, and then went to talk again, right? So what can we leave, like what actionable steps can we leave them with so that they can start to implement some of these things? Like, can we, let's condense it and break it down, make it simple. Go ahead.
I'm going to just make it simple. Like, don't wait, but invest in education now. That's investing in education of yourself. None but ourselves can free our minds. So read, study, like learn, like really dive in. And then like, each one teach one, if you will, like find a way to pour into someone else. Become a mentor, become an advocate, like, and it doesn't have to be in a formal setting, but just do it. Equip your children, and know that, for me, I understood that there were a lot of gaps in my life, and then I had a lot of people come and fill those gaps and help me fill those gaps. Neighbors, coaches, teachers, whoever it was. Like, I'm not unique in that. There's a lot of kids out here who have that same situation, so how can I be an advocate for them as well? So I think it's just that educating yourselves and being willing to invest in the next generation, whatever you have, because that is education as well. So that's my piece.
Thomas, how you feel? Been crazy.
Yes, sir.
It's great. Give it up for D. Come on, let's talk
Yeah.
about D, man. It was great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because that was really a condensed segment.
Yeah, we had to condense it a little bit, both of ours. Yeah, but it's all good. We'll do it again.
How you feel?
Oh, yeah. This will not be the
Podcast
last time, I think that people will hear from us, whether it be this setting or another one. So I thought tonight went extraordinarily well. What do y'all think?
Woo! Let's go.
He's a fool.
Yes.
What you leaving the people with, T?
What am I leaving the people with?
Yeah.
A lot was said. What I actually didn't do was share my quote, so I'll share my quote. On the way over here, I was listening to James Baldwin speak. I just kind of wanted to hear his voice and kind of put myself into a bit of a vibe. And so my quote comes from, I was going to choose something else, but I want to use this quote I heard from him earlier today. And he said, "The artist's job, among other things, is to make everyone bear the fact that there is no safety net. We're not safe from systems or the worst parts of other people." And that hit me, because what he's saying underneath that is that if you're an artist, if you call yourself an artist, or people recognize you as one, that automatically gives you the responsibility to tell the truth. Brutally. And I like to pride myself on that. That quote also hit me because it hit a point. It hit me real deep in a vulnerable spot of, I think, regret maybe. Because I was like, wow, like, I'm not doing enough. I haven't done enough with my craft. I'm not utilizing the full scope of its power. And I think when people from the outside, friends, family, whatever, if you're the artist in the family or in the friend group or whatever, you can be grossly misunderstood. And people only see sometimes just the little fragments of results of what you do. But for the artist, it needs to be a personal mission to make a change. Hopefully that's what and everybody's different. And this is LA, so there are a lot of people, what do you call them, transplants, who moved here from somewhere else just to be famous. And that's okay. I don't personally subscribe to that thinking, and because I know, like, I've been here long enough and know enough people who are famous to know that, like, it's not a real thing. It's kind of an illusion, but we'll get into that later. But for me, it's always been about the mission. That's why, like, I feel there's not a place on earth I feel more safe than in a theater, right? That's why I'm so glad we did this here in a theater, because when I'm in a theater, when I'm on a stage, when I'm pretending, I feel my most real self as an actor, right? And I think it's because I've always felt this, like, attachment to telling the truth about something. I'm a storyteller, right? And so, like, that quote, man, about making everyone bear the fact that there is no safety net. And it goes to something I think Dee said before about, like, we live in these, like, really sort of safe pockets where we don't dive deep enough into the mistakes we make. And like you said about fatherhood, trying to, like, have this image that we're perfect all the time for our children. That's not benefiting our children. Because when they grow up, and they will, and see you, and they will see you as a flawed human being when they're adults, then you got to undo, like you said before, you got to uncover and discover all that trauma they've experienced because they had this idea that you were a superhero. And I think you're a superhero by just being the best version of yourself as best you can and being in that home with those kids every day. That's a superhero. Because and that's why I love y'all, because I didn't have a father growing up, right? And so when I watch you guys with your kids, I'm like, that's it right there. That's rich. That's being a rich man. That's being a superhero. You get to have this time with your kids, and they get to have it with you. And I think, for me, like, I look up to you guys for a lot of reasons, many reasons, that being one of them. But I know that there's nobody in this room wants anything more than I want to be a father, right? Like, nobody. That's what I want, right? Sure. I've said since I was 7 years old, I wrote a note to myself and put it in a time capsule, and I buried it at school. That's how bad I wanted it.
At 7?
At 7.
Jesus.
My teacher asked me. Yeah, I was going through some things at 7. But my teacher asked me, I think it was like 3rd grade, my teacher asked me to write a couple things down that I want really badly that I want to see that I want to see happen for me in the future.
I never said that at 7.
Yeah, I was saying it.
But my dad
I didn't
wasn't
even
there. Say that at 27.
Okay. You want to get into that?
Oh,
No,
all right.
I'm just being vulnerable.
Oh,
that's it.
Let's dial it
but
back in.
it's amazing that you did that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're better than me.
I want to give you 3 flowers because I respect you 3 men as craftsmen, as businessmen, as fathers, as husbands, as my brother, as good friends, as good people. Like, there's such thing as, like, not so good people in the world.
Yeah.
You guys are good people, and I love y'all, and I'm glad we did this together tonight, man.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you.
All right.
I think that's it.
All right.
This is the wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you
Thank you
guys so
guys.
much for
Thanks for
joining
coming.
us
Thank you.
tonight. Woo! Really appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Live stream. Thank y'all for hanging in there with us. I know we're a little long-winded, but thank you very much. All right.
Hey,
Black
Mom.
Future.
Hey, Mom.
Woo! All right. Peace.